suffer from ear infections for a number of reasons. The most common cause is yeast buildup. And if your dog has trouble with yeast building up, you're gonna notice other things besides yeast infections. You might notice yeast issues on the paws as well, or on other parts of their body. Typically, if your dog suffers from frequent yeast infections, your veterinarian is going to recommend a change in diet. And a yeast restrictive diet is certainly going to be the top of that list. So this recipe is a good start on a recipe for a dog that gets frequent ear infections. You do want to check with your veterinarian or a canine nutritionist because they know your dog and his specific nutritional needs, which vary based on a number of factors from size, breed, age, activity level. All of that stuff plays a part in the nutrition your dog needs. So they can look at this recipe, evaluate your dog, and help you to make changes, maybe add some vitamins or minerals, make some ingredient substitutions, add a multivitamin, but they will help you formulate it to meet your dog's specific nutritional needs so that it will be balanced for him. There are some ingredients in this recipe like garlic, which have been proven to reduce yeast. You might have heard that garlic is toxic to dogs, and in large quantities it is, but in the small amount that's in this recipe, it's not going to hurt your dog. This may be a recipe that you feel like maybe you should feed long-term, but it's not going to provide proper nutrition for your pet long-term. This is something short-term. You're going to be feeding it while you're trying to reduce the yeast and get rid of the infection. But this isn't going to be a recipe that you feed your dog every day for the rest of his life. So certainly, if your dog has frequent ear infections, yeast problems, you want to make sure that you talk to your veterinarian or a canine nutritionist. You can definitely use this recipe in your repertoire, but you want to make sure, that you're adding other recipes too, so that you're providing 100% balanced nutrition for your dog. The first step to this homemade dog food for ear infections, you can see here that I have a rather large skillet. I am going to turn it on medium heat, and we are going to add 1 pound of ground turkey and 2 ounces of beef liver. And as this cooks, I'm just going to mash that all up together until it's thoroughly cooked through, and then we'll add our other ingredients. The turkey is about 2/3 of the way cooked through, so I'm going to start adding the rest of my ingredients. We're still on medium heat. First, I have 2 eggs, and I want to go ahead and get those mixed in right now before they start to cook up. I want to make sure they're mixed throughout the recipe. I also have a 1/2 cup of chopped kale and a 1/2 cup of chopped broccoli I'm going to add in. I have 1/2 cup of plain yogurt, and you want to make sure that it's plain. You don't want any flavoring or sugar, any extra ingredients that your dog doesn't need. So I just have plain Greek yogurt. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of ground flaxseed, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, and then I have 2 teaspoons of ground turmeric, 2 teaspoons of ginger, ground ginger. And you might be wondering what all of these ingredients have to do with ear infections. A lot of these are great anti-yeast ingredients. Some of them are anti-inflammatory. Some of them have natural antibacterial properties, antifungal properties. If you click the link below this video, you will see my written recipe guide, and that has all of that information in there, why these ingredients were picked, what the benefits are, and why you should add them to this homemade dog food for ear infections. I have 2 teaspoons of diced garlic. And again, I often, when I post videos or recipe guides with garlic in it, I always get people that say garlic is toxic for dogs. You shouldn't add garlic. Garlic in large quantities is toxic to dogs. Garlic in this small of a quantity actually has some really helpful, beneficial properties. Some of which are natural antibacterial, antimicrobial properties and anti-yeast properties. So it's a great recipe to add if your dog has issues with excess yeast or issues with any kind of infections such as, ear infections, skin infections, that kind of thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut the heat off, and we just have a couple of ingredients left. I have 2 teaspoons of coconut oil. You can certainly melt the coconut oil first if you want, but all of the ingredients are warm enough that as we stir this around, it's gonna melt right in there and mix in really well. And then my final ingredient is 2 teaspoons of kelp powder. I have this, I don't know if you can see it. Here we go. I have this Icelandic ocean kelp from Lifeline, but there are a bunch of products out there. I've done a product review on this one. You can see why I choose it, why I like this one the best. If you have questions. Now we're just gonna go ahead, give this a nice mix, make sure everything's incorporated well and all mixed really evenly, and you're all set to feed it to your dog as soon as it cools. Click the link below the video for my serving size instructions, as well as all the nutritional information. So how much protein, how many calories, how many carbs are all there. And then the recipe is there as well, the full recipe, and you can print that out very easily. Again, also all of my information on the ingredients is there. So a lot of helpful information in my written guide just by clicking the link below the video. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to email me. Thanks for watching this video recipe.